All right, and welcome to Hat-Trick Sports Talk Week 11 NFL Sunday post show. As always, I am joined by Shane, who has a new setup, or like fully complete setup. We saw a bit of it on Friday, and Brannan. How are you guys doing today on what was a really good slate of games on Sunday?
Doing well, doing well. How about you guys?
Pretty good, just chilling, enjoying enjoying a Seahawks-less Sunday, which, might I say, is apparently, as I found out today, a more relaxing Sunday than when they do play.
Really?
It turns out that the Seahawks have a negative effect on my blood pressure. And any Sunday that I don't have to worry about them puts me in a better mood.
Well, guess what?
Especially after we've won.
Well, guess what? You won't have to deal with them next Sunday because we're playing a Monday game against the Eagles.
Indeed.
So you won't have to deal with that. Shane, walk us through the setup, man, because it's much different than mine where I just have a mic and a chair and my Surface.
Well, we've three of us and a bunch of other people kind of have let's just say a project in the works. You'll know more about it soon enough. And, it's going to incorporate all kinds of different forms of media, such as sports, like this show, which is the reason for this right here, this glorious picture of Manning being sacked in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, you got Star Wars for a little movie, and then you got the Danish flag, because, you got to have the Danish flag. And it's just kind of encompassing all the different areas should I call it our network will be covering.
Yes, that's something we'll talk about down the road.
Stay tuned for that. But anyways, I was like, let's just make it legit. So here we are. It might still be a work in progress, but it's all good. I like it.
First show in the setup is always a fun one.
Yeah.
Let's get to these games here. Of course, we were expecting this, weren't we? Sunday Night Football, no defense as expected, two high-powering offenses. Really a fantasy game. I can't tell you how much fun it was just to watch the fantasy stats throughout this one. There were some points, though, where Patrick Mahomes was under duress and under pressure. Shane, is this kind of the key for how to beat the Chiefs in most weeks, is to kind of get him under duress a little bit?
Well, I think so, because it seems like that's kind of the only way you can really stop him, because if he has time, he can make any play because he's really good at improvising, extending plays, moving out of the pocket, whatever. The thing is, however, he's not. Yeah, he can move, but he's not like Lamar Jackson type speed, right? So you can kind of like, if he is, if you can collapse the pocket and get pressure on him, it definitely brings him down. It definitely makes a difference. That's kind of what we saw, if I remember correctly, in the Super Bowl last year, like in the first three quarters when the Chiefs were not doing well, or the offense wasn't, I should say. And that was what was happening. And so, yeah, I do think that that's, kind of the way the most effective way to play him. And, the Raiders would know because they beat him earlier and they almost beat him this time. But, when you get the 2-minute drill with him, it's kind of hard to stop him, So, yeah.
It did feel similar in a lot of ways, or in some ways, to that game where the Raiders did hand the Chiefs the loss with that pressure as well. Brandon, let's switch over to the Raiders side. Derek Carr, this is something that we've talked about on and on, even in the offseason, about how we weren't really sure about what that relationship between Carr and Gruden is. It seems like they've really figured it out, and it's really clicked, and Carr has looked so much better this season.
Yeah, Derek Carr, I think Shane and I have both been big proponents of Derek Carr on the show. We've really pushed his abilities in terms of praising him and lauding him and saying that he has definitely, before this season, not gotten the props that he deserves. Tonight, I mean, he looked like a top caliber quarterback, making throws that needed to be done. However, I did have a thought that it's interesting that you talk about how the Chiefs were under duress and how Mahomes was making these throws, and I was having this thought that, like, yeah, he was under duress, but like some of the throws that he was making, I would never see Carr making.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these crazy like throws just off the back foot. I mean, the one that comes to mind is one he didn't make, but only because a defender came out of nowhere and just swatted it down. I believe it was the third quarter, about halfway through the third quarter or something. And Mahomes is going across the field to the right, and he's being chased by a defender, and he's moving, he's looking downfield, and he finally just sidearm, like cross-body diagonal, throws a little lofting ball down the field, and there's like 4 defenders and 1 guy, and this dude was going to catch this ball, but he didn't catch it because like a defender came out of nowhere at the last second and like tipped it, knocked it down. I mean, to me, like the Raiders are great, right? And Carr is great, but like you put Carr against Mahomes, and that really highlights like Carr will get it done. Mahomes is going to like scratch and claw and get it done. And so at the end of the day, I think that is to me why the Chiefs won tonight, is because they had the quarterback that like is in the category of like the Russell Wilsons in terms of like you give them the ball at the end of the day. If you give them the ball last, odds are you're going to lose. The other team's going to lose because they're just going to win. Like there is a category of quarterback right now that I call winners, because all they do is win, no matter what.
What? Okay. We're getting a GJ Khaled shout out in the show today. But speaking off that and all the quarterbacks, I know this is something that you've been hammering throughout, especially the last month of the show. Shane, I'll go to you to talk about some of the play calling that Andy Reid does with Mahomes. I think this is just so unique. And when you get a chance to watch it in primetime on Sunday night or even in the Super Bowl last year, Andy Reid and his play calling with Mahomes really sets this team apart offensively from anybody else in the league.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why is because they really utilize everybody's strengths really well. At least that's what I noticed. And, they have – I mean, it helps that they have talent everywhere, right? But then, like, for example, when you got a guy like Tyreek Hill, who is probably the fastest guy in the league, and he's a great deep threat, obviously. Travis Kelce, best tight end of the game, arguably with George Kittle, but he's not playing, so it's Kelce right now. And, that's just like the tip of the iceberg, right? And so I think it's just they have so many, and not to mention they have 2 great running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and
Le'Veon Bell, man.
Yeah.
Got his first touchdown in 2020.
I was like, not Frank Gore. What's the other?
You're thinking the right former team, Jets, right?
Yeah, no. Anyways, so at the end of the day, they just have so many. They have so many different ways to attack you, right? And they really take advantage of that, because Le'Veon and Clyde are both great runners and receivers, so you never know what to do with them as a defender, right? And then Hill, while he is obviously a great deep threat because of his speed, I mean, he is a great route runner too. He can attack you short, whatever, medium. And, then you got Kelsey, who's always a very reliable receiver, or receiving tight end, I should say. Plus other guys like Cole Hartman, Sammy Watkins, even if he's not always that productive. But yeah. And I think that's just what really sets them apart from everybody is the fact that they are just so versatile, and you never know what's coming.
Yeah, and this is something I mentioned also like about a month ago too, was like this is the one thing that I think is so unique about this offense. It's like it's as you said, it's all really strength based, but especially from the receivers, other than Kelsey's sort of a different breed of tight end, but in a positive way. But I think what's so interesting, particularly about the receiving core, is it's all just fast guys. Like even Byron Pringle got some run today. His prototype is just fast. Everyone's just speed. It all kind of works with Mahomes and his style, even the guys way down below in the depth chart. Brandon, I'll go to you with the same question. What do you think of like Andy Reid's play calling and the diversity of this offense that we're talking about?
Andy Reid's play calling, I'm a little surprised actually that nobody's been able to figure out Andy Reid's play calling yet on defense really well, because he's pretty obvious about it. He's got 3 moves, right? If you look at football as chess in a way, he kind of has 3 moves that he cycles. He has his setup, he has his attack, and then he has his finisher. So his setup is, if you watch him play, he'll go for like a handoff, like a swing, a pat, like whatever, just like running the ball. He loves to run the ball a lot, and it doesn't really matter. And I don't like, a lot of the time he runs the ball, I don't think he's running it never really comes across to me as he's running the ball to advance the ball to get yards. I don't think he cares really if he gets yards. He's setting up the movement for the second phase of the play, which is getting into the mind of the defense, like, oh, okay, they're running the ball, making the other team have to like pay attention to the fact they are going to run the ball. Then there's the second part of the game plan, which is going to seem pretty like no duh, Brandon, but it's the fact that they have arguably the fastest team in the league. Would you agree with that?
I think they're number 1. I don't think there's an argument.
I mean, they have the fastest team in the league. And the fact is, when you have a quarterback like Mahomes who can just hit anyone on the field, you're gonna have a hard time when you have to prepare for both either a run or a pass. And the reason I say this is because there are so many teams out there right now that either do one or the other. They either run the ball more or they pass the ball more. For example, Pittsburgh, they're just slinging the rock right now.
Yeah.
They are just throwing it. And I'm surprised that teams aren't just saying, you know what? We're gonna go out there in defense, in pass defense, and dare them to run it, because they don't really seem to want to. But going back to the Chiefs and Andy Reid, and then the third part that I was talking about, which is like kind of the killer, is those two together open up for the ability for them just to allow Mahomes to go deep, and really just play the field loose, fast and loose. Fast and loose is, at the end of the day, fast and loose is how I would explain Andy Reid's offensive scheme.
And I think the other part is,
I like the Tampa Bay Bucks.
yeah, no, that I was just about to bring that up, right? We're talking about the fun factor with the Bucks and how much they need that. the Chiefs just embody that fun factor because, as you said, Mahomes can really spread the field, and the field is just kind of wide open for that offense. Let's move on to basically the main overtime game here on this slate. This game in the fourth quarter was just kind of an anger fest for me. Pretty much the second half, with the Packers and the Colts, because the Packers did nothing offensively in that second half, right? And again, this is why I feel like this Colts defense is phenomenal, because I don't know how many teams in the NFL can stop Aaron Rodgers from scoring pretty much at all in one half of football. I know there, and obviously kind of the two big plays in the game were the two fumbles, but it was also frustrating. The Colts should have iced this game. They really should have won in the fourth quarter. You can make an argument the Packers should have won in the first half. But I felt like the Colts with the holding calls, they had 5 holding calls from, the 2:30 mark to the 2-minute warning in that sort of final drive before Aaron Rodgers got his final shot. But they should have won the game by that point. There were a bunch of stupid holding calls. Michael Pittman comes to mind, even though he had a great game. Those holding calls just angered me. But I guess the two main takeaways I have from this game is the Packers defense is brutal. And this is why I just feel like the Packers aren't Lombardi Trophy ready, is that defense is just horrific. And 2, I think we finally got that Phillip Rivers game that makes us go, yep, there we go. We're driving down the field and we're throwing the ball deep and we're getting comfortable with this offense. I think Phillip Rivers finally had that type of game. And then for the Packers, again, that defense is just absolutely atrocious. Shane, you go first on those 2 points.
Yeah, this was probably the strangest game of the day for me. Because it's I'm still trying to process it, honestly. I thought Green Bay had it in the bag. I'll be honest, I did. But then I noticed that in the second half, or at halftime, I should say, you can tell the Colts defense really adjusted, and offense, but the defense especially. Because in the first half, I saw them and I thought, okay, I was kind of fearing this would happen, where it's because on Friday I was talking about my concerns with them. It's well, they haven't really played a real good offense, or at least not one that sticks out, other than Cleveland maybe, or Tennessee. But anyways, and so then I thought, well, this would be a good test for them, and for the first half it looked pretty rough, and I was like, yeah. But then I don't know what kind of adjustment they made at halftime, because then they came out and they looked like a completely different team on both sides of the ball, really. So that was cool to see, in terms of just whatever coaching decisions went on, and yeah, like you were saying with Phillip Rivers. I mean, I kind of thought that he was. I wasn't expecting much from him this year, I'll be honest. I figured he would have somewhat of a better year than last year, just because he has a better personnel around him, and I think that the Colts overall as an organization are obviously much better than the Chargers. But and maybe it's the fact that Green Bay's defense is just not that good, but he had to come behind from Aaron Rodgers, which is not easy, and he came out on top in the end, even if it wasn't exactly pretty at times, but he did. And I mean, that's it makes me think, well, maybe this guy will be a comeback player of the year nominee. Who knows? I mean, when you start playing games like those, I just really want to see if I hope this isn't a fluke for him. I hope he continues to play, maybe not necessarily this great, but just, at a competent level like this, you know what I mean? looking like he can really elevate that team. Because I feel like, I mean, I've said it before, but I think that Indy is like a legit Super Bowl contender if they had a quarterback that just didn't limit them as much, which I felt like he was doing. But if he plays like that, then I mean, yeah, they could be pretty good come playoff time. We'll see.
Brandon, your reaction to this wild overtime game?
Yeah, this was maybe my favorite game of the day. I think it was really fun. I still get amazed by how much BS Rodgers' Hail Marys are. I mean, I swear he has magnets on his Hail Marys. Or at least that's how it feels whenever he throws one. I don't think I've ever seen him miss a Hail Mary. Just like straight. Well, actually, there is one I can think of, but
yeah,
there's only one.
That's technically a Fail Mary.
There's only one. There's only not even the Fail Mary. There's like one other one. I think against the Vikings or
like
something. He
has like either ghosts or something helping him maneuver his balls because like. I think of like the one against Detroit where he like threw it and it should not have been a helmet. Well, whatever. That's beyond the point. I think to me this game proves to me that the Colts are to be taken seriously. Because Aaron Rodgers does not go down lightly. He will fight and scratch and claw. And you know for a fact that he was pissed off at his teammates at the end of that game. Because I watched that whole ending, and that fumble was inexcusable.
Yeah.
That was literally a situation of the guy not holding onto the ball properly.
It's not even that fumble, too. It's the one earlier. It was like the same thing. Both of the fumbles were inexcusable. There was no point for the fumbles, and it was same for the holding calls late in the fourth quarter for the Colts. There were there were situations where both teams made mistakes, the holding calls and the two fumbles. But the two fumbles were ultimately what caused the Packers.
And the moment they fumbled the ball at the end of the game, I knew it was over because I knew the Colts. They literally all they need to do is just keep the ball, protect the ball, get close enough to kick field goal. They did it. They won. Game over.
They already were in field goal range, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. However, one thing I'm hearing from some people within my circle about is people saying, oh, and people were saying that Phillip Rivers is washed up. Don't give me that. Phillip Rivers is not the hero of today. Phillip Rivers is not the hero of this year. It is still the defense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm sorry, this team would be nothing without the defense.
No, this defense is number one in the league for a reason. And it showed today.
But I will agree with you. I think you said at one point you were talking about I think it was Michael Pittman, was it that you were talking about?
Oh my God, I love Michael Pittman. Loved him coming out of USC. He's finally showing up.
Yeah. Looking pretty legit. Fun game. Really fun game actually. I didn't know how well this game would go. Good outcome. It's making the NFC look interesting. So yeah.
Last question before I move on. Who is the best team in the AFC South right now?
AFC South?
Well, yeah, or the Colts division, excuse me. That would be the South division, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is the best team in that division?
Indy.
It's basically two options. It's Indy or Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Indy.
I think Jacksonville is the best.
I think the Texans are the best. No. I'm going to go with Indy.
I think Indy is the best team in this division. Yeah, the Titans, we'll get to them a bit later, but I do have some reservations about them now, which we'll get to. But, yeah, I think Indy is the best team in this division, and I think they're probably the fourth best team, or maybe even third at this point, like the fourth best team in the AFC right now, if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd say third probably.
Third, yeah, I guess third probably would make more sense. You got Steelers, Chiefs, Colts. That would make sense.
I'd say Chiefs 1, Steelers 2,
Yeah.
Colts 3, but yeah.
We'll get to the Steelers pretty soon, but I do want to get to a quarterback I am officially selling all my stock of as of 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. I'm selling all my Carson Wentz stock. It's over. Shane, in like joy.
What I tell literally everybody.
Well, here's the thing.
He's not that good. What are you talking about? He's amazing.
Well, here's the thing. I still don't think they should have kept Nick Foles. I don't think that would have made any sense.
In hindsight, no. But
here's the deal. I really think the injuries are why. I think the injuries have made him less confident.
So here's the question.
Well, maybe.
Here's the question. Should they start Jalen Hurts?
No, I don't think Hurts is ready to start in this league right now. But maybe. Is it?
I don't know what they do, honestly.
I think they should. I think honestly, what do they have to lose?
Well, they could.
I would like. Actually, you know what? No, I think this is a good segue for a segment I would like to have each week until the end of the season, which is called Brannan Rants about the freaking NFC East.
No, this will be a segment until the NFC East actually has an 11-win team. That's what it is.
Or even 10.
Here's my rant. Here's my rant this week about the NFC East. Oh my God. Okay.
Go.
God, that was a funny joke. The
So
NFC East.
I looked at the rankings yet again. Oh boy, was that a mistake. Because I nearly had an aneurysm. Because I realized someone is going to win the NFC East with a losing record. And it is going to probably be something like 5 wins at this rate.
4.
Which is like, shouldn't be a thing. You should not be able to be in the playoffs with 4 wins. And then you have Cowboys fans. Then you have Cowboys fans, Robert. You have Cowboys fans on Twitter going, "We're gonna be in the playoffs. We're gonna win the division. We're gonna go to the Super Bowl." Shut up.
God, I can't drink water during this segment. I'm gonna
be quiet, Cowboy fans. Be like the Giants fans who actually have the respect for the rest of the league to sit in the corner and be quiet, and be the team they know they are, which is a bunch of nobodies. They just like. Oh my God! Can we please have some respect for the NFL and not let anybody from the NFC East in the freaking playoffs? Thank you.
I gotta look at the power rankings or the playoff picture after that.
Here's the thing. This is why I've been saying for years, literally years, that this whole we got to have one team from each division in the top 4 seeds. Piss off. Okay? This is why you don't do this, okay? There should not even be a team from the NFC East in the playoffs this year, or any year for that matter. But
any year in the last 5 years, maybe.
Except for when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they were actually good. But besides that, okay, because then you have hold on. Give me just a second here. Let's look up.
Who would wait? I have a question. Who would be in the playoffs right now if it wasn't for
Eagles.
Okay, so let me.
If it wasn't,
let's look at this.
They weren't, yeah.
So right now, wait, what happened?
I'm gonna pull up the playoffs.
Here we go. Okay, so right now, it would be. Well, this isn't updated. Wait, is it?
It is updated.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
If you're on NFL.com, it's updated.
It'd be the Saints 1, Packers 2, Seahawks 3. Okay, that's all good.
That's wrong. It should
Eagles
be
4.
That's wrong.
And then
Seahawks should be 2.
But wait, and then.
Wait.
Well,
here,
it says on.
No, here it is. Here it is. It's on the screen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's because since the Packers lost tonight, they were saying on broadcast that the Seahawks will move to 2 and Packers go to 3.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Unless it depends on.
It also
Well, it depends on
what
like
the Bucs
division
do.
record and a bunch of other stuff.
Either way, so
But yeah.
the team. So wait. So here's my question: Who? Okay, I'm gonna list out the teams. Well, let's say I'm gonna list out the teams that have. Hang on, wait. Yeah, here's my point. Okay, so the Eagles, or you have the Bears, the Vikings, or the Lions. Who like would we want to see the Bears here? I guess I would
Better
rather
than
see
the
the Bears.
Eagles.
Yeah.
Not.
The Bears?
The Bears are better than the Eagles.
This is the problem I've sort of been thinking of the last couple of years. The fact that the NFL is so top heavy, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Wait, but why is it? What do you mean by like? Well, I guess
you have a ton of teams that are consistently very good, and then you have all these teams that do the whole tanking thing, and they get the guy, but then they forget about the most crucial part, which is good coaching,
good O-line,
and good O-line, and so then they suck. And so you end up with consistently bad teams like, in recent years, the Lions, the Bears, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I would make the claim that if the Bears had an actual competent quarterback, they'd be really good. But either way.
Probably.
But then it's interesting because you get teams, but also I would also give examples of teams that have done the actual rebuild properly, like
Bills.
The poster child. The Bills. The Bills are the poster child for how to rebuild a team from absolute crap to being pretty good.
Even the Browns, you could say. They're going to make the playoffs from the first time, since, I don't know.
Probably.
They're not going to be competitive in the playoffs, but they're going to make the playoffs.
I still wouldn't. It's interesting that the Ravens might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably will, though.
But it's like the NFC is so weak right now that it's like you would replace the Eagles with the Bears at this point.
Yeah. So that's kind of thing. Yeah, we would have a 4-win team. And by the way, I don't know how that affects the draft. I wonder if it does. I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Eagles would have a 20-something
like a 20-something, yeah.
When they really should have a top 10 pick, which honestly would be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom. Okay, so really, other than the Eagles, the bottom of the NFC is just not even worth. It's not even worth anything at this point. But
also, I would like to remind you all that the NFC right now is pretty much
done.
NFC East is tied pretty much.
Yeah, I think the NFC playoff picture. I think the NFC and even the AFC playoff picture in some ways, but the NFC playoff picture is basically done. Other than the East.
Yeah. Other than really positioning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC East is just an exhausting measure at this point, and I think that's the best way I can put it.
And I hate it so much. It's like watching a car crash. I can't look away.
Yeah,
but you really want to.
I want to.
Indeed.
I want to get back to Carson Wentz really quick. Oh my God. But here's the problem. This guy was my MVP in 2017. I voted him for MVP. How can he fall? I still cannot understand how he falls down this far without saying it's probably some injury thing. It doesn't make sense to me still, and yet I sit there and watch the game and go, are you kidding me? I cannot vouch for this anymore. I just can't.
He definitely looks less athletic now, for starters. Bad decisions. That interception was horrible. Accuracy's gotten worse. I don't know. I never other than the guys just size and raw, I guess talent. I never really saw much in him. I never really thought he was really made the best decisions with the ball or was like some amazing playmaker or whatever. He was just a big guy who could make good throws, to me at least. But now that he's getting injured all the time, I feel like it's, like you said, his confidence is kind of shot. But also it's like, now it's almost like he's scared to throw the ball. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I never really bought into the whole Carson Wentz thing, but I wasn't expecting him to like tank off this fast or this bad. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's weird.
You know, Brandon, you bring up an interesting point, and I think this is a point that, you know, looking at all the other rookie quarterbacks in the league, maybe it is Jalen Hurts' time. Just looking at the other quarterbacks in the league, I don't know if he's ready, but Philadelphia media is so bad, I wouldn't be surprised if Monday morning that's the conversational point. Continue your thought on that, because I think it is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, you have to imagine that they've already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't listen to Philadelphia radio, but it would be kind of interesting to hear what exactly they're talking about, because I don't see the harm in letting him go out there. Although technically they are still in the playoff run, in the playoff race.
Yeah.
So, which is as stupid of a concept as that is, that's probably the only reason they would not put him in, because putting him in basically signals this season's over.
I'm going to make a bold claim here. I think at some point in this season, maybe not this week, but at some point, Jalen Hurts will start. And here's why I say that. At this point, if Philadelphia does win the division, they know they're not going to be competitive in the playoffs. Maybe they'll win a game if they're lucky, but I doubt it. So now you look at it, and it's like, okay, well, they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason for that, that they went out of their way to get him that high when they definitely did not need to, at least at the time. They did not think they needed to, or at least they shouldn't have. That was concerning to me, because I thought when I found out that they drafted him, I think we were on
Instagram
air live with Brennan.
Yeah, we were on air.
Yeah.
And I said, that's really concerning, because Hurts to me was not a second round guy. He was like a fifth or sixth, maybe. Yeah. But here they are taking him in the second round, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I'm starting to feel like this is maybe why, because they were just worried about his injuries and that he would just keep declining. Yeah. So
I remember being like, I remember when they drafted him, I was shocked, because I was like, why the hell would they take it basically is like, I think I actually said, I actually thought initially they were drafting him to turn him into a wide receiver.
He's not a wide receiver build or a running back build. He's a quarterback.
No, he has a look, the man is built. He has a wide receiver build. He's fast. He can run. He can catch. Anybody can be a wide receiver. They do crazy things with players in the NFL.
I guess.
I personally did not think much of him, but apparently the Eagles saw him. I feel like the Eagles might have been being like, we lost out on Russell Wilson, so let's try and grab this guy.
That's what they said publicly. That's what they said publicly. And I remember at the time hearing that publicly, I'm like, what a bunch of losers.
Like, he's not anywhere close to
Russell. You lost Russell Wilson, so you're going to take a second-rate knockoff? Like, I'm sorry, no hate to Jalen Hurts, but you ain't Russell Wilson.
Not yet, at least. We haven't seen it.
And I don't know, man. Like, I
don't
saw
know.
him play in college. He doesn't have the. I mean, look, go search Russell Wilson's college tape on YouTube. Any game he played in, he was Russell Wilson in college before he was Russell Wilson in the pros.
Yeah. Here's the problem with Carson Wentz, and here's what is the most concerning part about Carson Wentz and his decline. Look at this cap number.
He still owed a lot of money.
This money kicks in next year. Yeah. So, I mean, yikes. Can you even consider trading him? Is anyone even going to take this money? And dude, like the $24
I'm sure somebody would.
$24 million in dead cap if they opt out in 2022. They're not going to want that dead cap.
This would have been a good. You know what would have been a good move? This would have been a good year to try and trade him to like the Cowboys or something.
Oh my God, have him be in the same division.
Think about it. If our quarterback gets hurt, they need someone. They go, you know what? We don't want to have this on our books. Trade it to Dallas. Jerry agrees to like basically take on the contract. They get a quarterback for 3 years maybe, and then whatever.
Here's
that would have been
also
the play.
Here's also the concerning thing about this. June 9th or June 6th of 2019, that's when this contract was signed.
Why did they give him so much money?
It was literally like last year that they made this contract, and now you're already questioning the contract.
I mean, yikes.
It literally, I don't know what to do here.
This contract would have been coming off the Super Bowl, right?
No, this contract was last season.
2 years after, or a year after.
Yeah, so this is last season.
I mean,
you could probably trade him somewhere.
There's
some idiot out there who would take him.
Can we go back to this contract? Like, I mean,
what do you do here? Like,
he got hurt last year.
Gets hurt every year.
So, do we have any inkling of why he got such a big contract extension?
I mean, I thought the main reason was they were trying to say, okay, we got rid of Foles. Here's our franchise guy, and here's the money to prove it.
It's like they were making a statement, kind of.
I think you're right. I think it was a situation where they looked at the upcoming quarterbacks in the draft and compared them and went, is there anybody we want to take?
Well, guess what? They took one. That's what's weird. They took one.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of be interesting with this upcoming draft to see, do they take another one?
I mean, or do they just go with Hurts? So here's the thing. If you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, right, his contract is tradable. I'm certain there's a team that will take on his money and be fine with it. And we've mentioned options. Shane, you've mentioned options for Jimmy Garoppolo for a while. Of Dallas as like suitable trade spots.
Garoppolo, Prescott. I would love to see that.
Hey, it could happen, but like I'm serious. Like that like his contract for how big it is, it's feasible to trade it. Considering how Carson Wentz has played so far this year, I don't see how any team or how this contract is any feasible to be traded or has any merit to be traded. I just don't. I really don't.
It'd be tough, without a doubt.
So I think that's something long-term to think about with Philly as well.
Yeah.
Let's go through. All right, let's actually go to that Steelers and Jags game. Brandon, I'll start with you. Did this game impress you at all that the Steelers are 10-0? Did this game show you they're a top team? Why not?
Because
it's the Jaguars.
I think I literally put it in the chat that I continue to maintain my point that the Steelers at 10-0 do not impress me, because at 10-0 they should be beating up on shitty teams, yet they are letting them stay around and then being like, oh, okay, here's the boost button, and then only then in the end of the game winning. I mean, they don't look impressive. I'm sorry. Like, it's a shitty team on offense. Okay, like they do some flashy stuff on offense, but like, I just feel like you put them up against a good team, like an actually good team, and they're gonna lose. They remind me of the Ravens last year, to be honest.
Yep.
Like, that's what I realized today. They're like the Ravens. You put them up against a team that's actually well built and put together, they're gonna lose. To be honest, I was not shocked last year when the Ravens lost to the Titans, because I kind of saw it coming. Like, it's a fun team, right? Like, oh, they have such offense and their defense is pretty good, but like, I don't know. It has the same feel as the Ravens did.
Shane, why do you feel it's very similar to the Ravens of last year?
For pretty much the same reasons as Brennan. They let games get way too close that should not be close for an undefeated team, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what is it, like 5 or 6 of their games have been won by only one possession. And I mean, I think if you put them up against like the Chiefs, for instance, I think the Chiefs would absolutely roll them, and they would never even see it coming. They would not know what even happened. Or honestly, at this point, I would probably, if they played today, well, not today because they already played, but next week, if they were playing Indy, I think Indy would probably win. I'll be honest, I do. And then, the teams that are right below that, like Tennessee, they barely beat Tennessee. Baltimore barely beat Baltimore. I mean, it's, barely beat Philly. Okay, Philly. So
we will see them up against Baltimore on Thursday night on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a back seat on the Steelers. I wasn't very impressed today. Look, it's not pretty, but again, it's not pretty in the weirdest reasons for me. Where, yeah, you're right. I think the close possession games, I think this game today kind of showed like, okay, look, it was 27-3. It looked like a blowout. It really wasn't. For at least the first half or midway through the third quarter. I mean, like on it, or I guess first half. But it's still 10-0. Like 10-0 to me is still 10-0, and I think I need to see them lose. Like if they go up against Baltimore on Thanksgiving night and lose, then I'm willing to have a different conversation. But right now, I look at that team and go, okay, they have the passing game down packed, right? This is a pretty amazing receiving core. James Conner, yeah, it's been slow, but I think it's mostly game script the last month. And that defense still have the sack record. I think conceptually, when you look at how this team is organized, there isn't really anything wrong unless I'm missing something. Like, am I missing? I feel like I might be missing something. Why are the games so close with them? Because I can't figure it out. Because I look at that offense and go, okay, this is a top offense. And obviously the defense, we keep harping on how great it is. Is there something conceptually with the team that I'm missing? Like, why are these games so close? Like, I can't pinpoint why. And that's why I can't say they're not the top team in the NFL right now at 10-0. Because it's not about the fact that what they have on the field. It's the fact that these close games. But why are we having them? And why, even with that, it doesn't even feel like it's that bad. Do you see where my confusion is?
Right. Yeah. I don't get me wrong. They're a great team. I think I would say they're the third best team in the NFL. It's just I think the issue I have with them is that they, at least for me, they don't. It feels like they don't really know what they are offensively, which is kind of a problem because.
But in what way? Because even if they don't necessarily know, right? For the last let's go back like October, right? September, October, they were definitely a much more running based team, and now in November they're more of a passing game team. But they can go back to the running game with James Conner and will still be great. Like, yeah, they might not know what their identity is, but does it really matter what it is? Because no matter where they go, they're still going to be fine. They're still going to be good.
So far, it hasn't necessarily, but I mean, like we've been saying, I don't know. Sorry.
Your setup just got smacked.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. No, okay.
Technical difficulties with the setup. No, but this is my so again, restarting my point. I'm saying that it doesn't matter what their identity is, because no matter what identity they have, passing the ball or running the ball, it's still going to be great. That's my point.
Yeah. I guess my concern with that is like if they were to play, like the Chiefs, for instance, who can attack you in so many different ways, it's just that I feel like the Chiefs can do all those much better. So if you have to get in a shootout with Big Ben, as good as he is this year, right? If you're gonna get in a shootout with him, Juju, and Claypool versus Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, it's not even close, if you ask me.
But here's the problem that I have though.
Okay.
I guess it is more likely that if we see Chiefs Steelers, like, it will be a shootout. But there is part of me that still feels like that defense can be better than most at stopping Mahomes. And maybe that's all you even need to beat Mahomes.
Yeah, they certainly have the front seven to do that. And, just in terms of their secondary, they probably have, a better chance than most against their very fast receiving core. At the end of the day, I just feel like ultimately they're destined to, because they've had this pressure of being perfect all season, building. And it's like, I feel like there's just going to be this point where they just crack under the pressure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd think if, you're winless, that's great. No, it's not. Because now you're like, I have to stay winning. But then it's like, you get a loss and it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh, okay, now let's reset. You know what I mean? But it's like, if they don't really experience that, then what's it going to be like come playoff time?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like the second either James Conner or Big Ben get hurt, hopefully they don't. But as we know, they're both very injury prone. The second one of them goes out, they're done, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. So, at least offensively. So I don't know.
But again, and I'll go to Brannan for this. My biggest point with the Steelers is what we're talking about here is with the Steelers, and I agree with you, because after this game, I see it. I see those issues, but it's not about the like, oh, will they get injured? The perfect record, like, on the field, I still feel like they're the top team, because I can't necessarily see anything wrong with them other than the fact that they were in close games. But Brandon, is there anything on the field for you in terms of how they play that concerns you? Maybe more offensively, because we know defensively they're really good.
Well, it concerns me that they stall out all of the time. You watch that team, and they're pretty inconsistent. They don't. It seems like a lot of their offense just comes from Big Ben just throwing it, hucking it up, and seeing what happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of reminds me of playing football on the like recess playground.
Flyers up.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, flyers up. That's what it reminds me of, Shane. It's like you just throw it up and try and grab it. That's what it reminds me of. And it's like, fantasy-wise, it's great.
It's fun.
But
it's also stressful, but it's fun.
It doesn't... It's not... Unlike the... And I realize this tonight, and I agree with Shane now, that the Chiefs are 1 and the Steelers are 2. Because the Chiefs actually play in the AFC. They play as a whole unit. They actually know what they're doing. And the Steelers are just kind of like playing around.
I'm definitely taking a step back with the Steelers. But it's weird in that I also agree with both of you. And Shane, I also specifically agree with your point about that the Steelers need a loss. I need to see them lose before I take them out the number 1 overall spot in the NFL. They're 10-0 for a reason. I mean, when you're 10-0 at this point in the year, to not lose a game, I can't deny that.
Robert, you're slowly glitching out.
Oh, am I? My apologies. Yeah. Strange. Everyone kind of glitched out for some reason. Let's see what we can. Am I okay? Can you guys hear me okay now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or is Mike? Oh, wait.
I can hear
Mike
him.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
It did glitch out for a bit there. No, but for right now, 10-0 at this point in the season, I can't deny that, although I am starting to see the problems. If they lose, and at some point they will, I would imagine, then I can start to reevaluate them. Maybe that's Thanksgiving night against the Ravens. I don't know. I need to see them lose first, and then I'll start to realize what their problems actually are. Because maybe the 10-0 is clouding my decision-making, but I still see it. I still see those problems. When they lose a game, I think we'll all get a more clear picture of this team, at least from a national perspective.
I don't know if they know how to lose.
What do you mean you don't know if they know how to lose? What does that mean?
Shane, you know what that means. You learn a lot about a team when they lose.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
Builds character.
Well, yeah, but also it's like if a team knows how to lose, losing doesn't bother them. Obviously they don't want to lose. They never want to lose. But when you're a team that's 10-0, I guarantee you, the moment they lose, shit's gonna hit the fan in that locker room. I think it's honestly not good in the NFL to go that long without taking a single loss. And I don't think they know, in the farther you get into the season, you don't know how to lose. And I have a theory that was one of the problems the Ravens had last year. They were a team that made it there on an easy schedule, and they didn't lose a lot. They didn't know how to lose. And so when they got to the playoffs, they were riding high on their success, and I think it's not the greatest situation.
Let's go.
That's what I mean by not knowing how to lose.
Right. Let's go to that other team in the Ravens. Obviously, with the Titans, I think we've already kind of explained some of their problems in previous weeks, but I did want to go to the Ravens. There did seem to be some life in this offense, even with the loss. Lamar started throwing the ball a lot better. There was some
I wouldn't say a lot better
of life. A lot better considering what we've seen the past month.
Okay, that's fair, I guess.
It looked better. It's not great because they still lost in overtime with Derrick Henry being Derrick Henry, as we all see every week. But I mean, it looks better, but do we see this consistently getting better every week? I think is the question. And Brandon, I'll start with you.
No. He just looks lost.
Lamar
just looks lost, man.
Can I get home?
I mean, sort of. I mean, the man, he like, at one point today, I looked at him like, my dude, are you concussed? Like,
I hope not.
He had this far away look in his eyes. Like, overwhelmed is correct, I think. Like, he's just like, whoa, what the hell am I doing? And we've had this conversation before. Like, he has no pieces out there. I mean, they literally had to bring in Des Bryant from retirement.
Not retirement, free agency. It's not retirement.
Or fine. The man, I mean, he's pretty much freaking retired. He hadn't played in, 3-4 years?
I think it was 2 by that point.
I think it was 3, but whatever. Because he stopped, didn't he end after the 2016, after that, catch? But it doesn't matter, whatever. But they had to bring in Des Bryant. He don't got much to work with. And,
he's not making that offense work. Where's Marcus Hollywood Brown? Where's Mark Andrews?
Right, yeah.
I saw Mark Andrews today, but...
He can still run it, but, you're not a running back. You're a quarterback. And the throws he did... I mean, he had that... his throws are not getting any more accurate. And I'm sorry to sound like such a hater. And, I know probably people are going to be I know there's probably some Ravens fans who watch us who are every week, they're like, Brandon, why are you such a hater? I'm sorry. I would love to say I was wrong. I'll eat my humble pie, but I ain't.
Crow in this case.
We are here. Yeah, we are here to be honest surveyors of the truth about football, about sports. We're not about to I personally am not about to lie about my opinion.
Right.
I think with the Ravens, I want to see some semblance of consistency, and I think we're starting to see it. But again, they're playing the Steelers on Thanksgiving night, so I don't know if we'll see it on Thursday.
That's going
to be an interesting game.
That really will be an interesting game.
Really
but Shane, your thoughts on this Ravens offense, and do you think there is some semblance of potential consistency after this week?
I'm not convinced yet. Maybe, I don't know, but it's only one game. I mean, I kind of want to, if they can, even if they don't win in 5 days, whatever it is, 4 days, even if they don't win, if they can at least look competitive offensively, I'll feel a lot better about them. But if they just look like they're totally out of it, I don't know. I think it'll probably seem like that was maybe just a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to tell right now. Pittsburgh is not exactly the best matchup to test that because it's Pittsburgh. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, I just don't know what to think of that offense, really. I mean, I don't understand how you have a guy like Lamar, who last year had 36 touchdown passes, led the NFL, which is, that's a great number. And now this year, he looks like Jalen Hurts or something, just some guy who can't really throw the ball very well and who would always like to run first. And I don't know. Maybe he's not meant to be a passer. Maybe he's just meant to be a guy that runs all the time.
No longevity if he does that, though.
That's the thing. That's not really sustainable. So I don't know. I think unless Lamar can really improve his accuracy as a thrower, not to mention decision making as well. But I think if he can, unless he can really fine tune that and sharpen it up, I don't know. In a couple of years, Ravens are probably going to be moving on from him, unfortunately. But yeah,
Let's go on to another quarterback. I know we were all excited to see this. Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, eligible at tight end on ESPN and Fantasy. Hope that's not the case next week. Sorry, David, but I don't think that should be the case next week. Either way, Shane, your analysis of Taysom Hill, because honestly, this offense kind of showed some life. We finally saw Michael Thomas kind of come back to life this week as well.
Yeah, well, he wasn't amazing. I'll just be honest, he wasn't. Which I wasn't expecting him to be, because no, the Falcons' defense is not good. But the issue is the guy's never had a career start in the NFL, and not only that, but he's never even come in, halfway through a game, or even he's never even played a full drive as quarterback, right? Which that's the concern. But I thought, okay, there has to be a reason that they're starting him instead of Jameis Winston, who I thought for sure was going to start. And I think we saw why that is, because with Hill, you get, or actually, let me start with Jameis. With Jameis, okay, you get a lot of mistakes, a lot of interceptions. There's quite a bit of upside, but you get a lot of interceptions, and you don't get much mobility. With Taysom Hill, apparently, you get no turnovers, at least so far. Plus, you get a serious runner, as we saw. So, Sean Payton says, "Oh, Taysom Hill's our future." I get it. This is only one game, and it's the Falcons, but I can kind of see why you would think that. I just hope he continues to play the next 3 weeks, because I really want to see. Yeah, because I really want to see if he can remain at that kind of a level. And if he does, I think we're all going to be looking at it much differently.
Mm-hmm. Brandon, your thoughts on Taysom Hill's performance today?
I wasn't oh wow, amazing Taysom Hill. I was impressed because I guess I hadn't seen him. I'd never seen him play quarterback before. He was serviceable. I'd say that's the word, serviceable. He got the job done, but there was nothing about him that really flashed for me.
And so we've been talking about this for a long time about, Sean Payton does feel like Taysom Hill's the future. Unfortunately, the play calling that he had today didn't show me that. Yeah, I thought the offense actually moved a lot better than it has probably all season with Drew Brees, which is amazing. But obviously, it's the Falcons. I don't know what else. Obviously, I think they should be better offensively when you're playing the Falcons. But the play calling was very much run. How many times do we see Alvin Kamara in a wildcat formation today? That was just it didn't even work. But it was there. And yeah, Taysom made some good throws, but I think the play calling is not really a franchise quarterback type play calling. It just isn't. It's very much focused on what they're normally used to doing with him, plus adding some wrinkles for him to throw the ball. We know he's capable of throwing the ball and getting an offense to work. Obviously, Atlanta might not be the best case study, as you said, Shane. 3 more weeks of this probably will get a better sense. But as of right now, this whole franchise quarterback thing, I don't know. Backup, yeah. Franchise guy right now after 1 week, I don't see it. I felt like this was mostly just taking the packages with Taysom Hill and advancing it just to add some throws and help this offense move along.
Yeah. Well, let me clarify. When I say I can see why Sean Payton thinks he's a franchise guy, I wasn't convinced today that he is, but like I can understand what he might see in him, if that makes sense.
And what are those keys for you?
Well, it's just he for starters, leadership. I think his teammates always talk about just how great he is, how great of a guy he is, and what a leader he is. But aside from that, like you said, he can throw the ball pretty well. But he's just an incredible athlete too, which is what the quarterback position is becoming, which is guys that are just freakish athletes like Lamar, who may or may not be the best example anymore, but another great one that comes to mind, Kyler, right? I mean, that's like the ideal, maybe not ideal, but an ideal type of quarterback, I should say, nowadays, coming out of college. I mean, like all the rookies this year are all very athletic. Burrow, which, by the way, we're thinking about him.
Sure. We'll get to him a bit later.
Herbert and Tua, they're all pretty athletic. They can move. So I think he helps in that regard too. So, I can see why he could, look at certain qualities in him and think, oh yeah, I like that. He's certainly very different than Breeze as a player. In fact, like complete opposite. But we'll see. I'm just looking for the next 4 weeks, see what he can do.
Let's actually do 2 more quarterbacks. First, I'll go to another guy who had his first career start in the NFL in PJ Walker. I know Brandon and I were really excited to see him in terms of an XFL guy.
XFL.
He balled out in the XFL, and he showed up today. He played really well. Brandon, what were your thoughts on PJ Walker's first start?
Yeah, I think PJ Walker was a very important player today because he showed that I think he kind of started building that bridge that I think a lot of GMs and coaches are going to look at this and go, that guy did what was an MVP level player in the XFL, and now he did pretty well. He showed he can hang in the NFL. Could this be in the future, could the XFL act as sort of a training ground for future stars of the NFL? Mm-hmm. Because I do believe that's what it was looking at sort of before the pandemic hit. Because there were a bunch of teams that had looked at players and they were like interested in signing them, and yeah.
Well, the XFL is coming back, so it'll be interesting to see if
with a lot of those same
continues.
goals. With a lot of those same goals as well. PJ, he looks good in a Carolina uniform. Like I can see why. I can see. And first off, there is also another reason to his success. Matt Rule worked with him at Temple. He was this quarterback at Temple, so that helps as well. But I mean, I think you could see Teddy and PJ Walker, like the systems are very similar. There's not much change there. Teddy's obviously the better quarterback, but I mean, the fact that PJ is capable of winning in these situations when Teddy last minute can't start or whatever, I mean, you always want a capable backup in this league. A capable backup can keep you from being at the bottom end of the draft or being at the top in the draft or whatever. It can keep you afloat. And clearly this Panthers team is in a position where they don't want to even think about losing games. And PJ Walker, for how he played, I mean, it was honestly, I don't know how much we were expecting. I mean, we weren't expecting to see him play a full game today, but I mean, it works. You can clearly see how Matt Rule and and Joe Brady and how they like to work with quarterbacks. Because I think it also, I think that was kind of the biggest thing with Walker as well today.
Yeah, I think I don't think I'm quite as high on him as you guys are. I think, yeah, he did fine. I mean, he still had 2 picks and only 1 touchdown, which.
Also, I will say both of those picks were basically rookie mistakes because,
Right.
they were in the red zone. But continue.
Yeah, I mean, that's, for your first NFL start, stuff like that's bound to happen, of course. But it's kind of like the Taysom Hill thing where it's like he was playing the Lions. Okay, not exactly the best defense. But I don't know. I think I don't really see him as a franchise guy. I think he's just kind of a backup.
I think he's a backup, but I think he's a high-end backup.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
yeah, that's
like
fair.
Shane, here's what I mean by like being high on him. For a team that brought this guy in on a whim, basically to be the third string guy, I think, third string.
Because Will Grier was slated to be.
Oh, that's right.
He played pretty good for a third stringer.
Yeah.
And my point is this. It shows that there are talent out there that are not going through the same process as the draft that they can have access to. Doesn't mean I'm not necessarily saying like, oh wow, these players are gonna like end up like with the sunshine and pony story where like they end up being first string starting, winning a Super Bowl and be like, woo, XFL. But no, like, I mean.
Yes, they will. What are you talking about?
Who knows? For what it is, it's good play.
Yeah. I think PJ Walker, he, especially for these guys who wash out of the league, to get an opportunity to just play and show out at that level, I think it says a lot when you have that ability and say, okay, I've watched out the NFL for a long time. I think he's like 29, 30. To come out and perform the way he did in the XFL. He basically won the XFL MVP, at least in my opinion. But he was deserving a backup spot on a team, and the Panthers were the perfect spot for him, and it showed today. Let's finish off the quarterbacks with, again, the aforementioned Joe Burrow. Just a brutal injury. You knew right as it happened that it was just, man, it was bad. But reflections on Joe Burrow's rookie year. Brandon, I'll start with you. Your reflections on his rookie season, because through 11 games, it was massively impressive.
Yeah, man, this kid's going to be really special in the future. I think I have no doubt that he'll end up winning the Super Bowl. I think I saw this coming. I was pretty certain he was going to end his season in an injury, and it pisses me off.
Not as bad as an ACL though. I didn't think it would be as bad as an ACL.
I didn't want it to be ACL, but
I didn't know what I thought it was going to be.
I've watched a lot of him play, and man, he's just been getting bombarded this year. I mean, he got thrown into a bench last week. I mean, it's like until today, it was becoming a little bit of a comedy act for me, like watching him get like just destroyed. I'm like, oh, there he goes again. He's like getting hit, and it's like, I will say, I felt like they should have thrown a flag on that hit he got where he tore his ACL, because, I mean, you go back and watch that play, God. And it's a flag. The guy who's tackling him doesn't even tackle him. He just like throws his body at him.
It's like the at the knees thing. Like, you can call it at the knees. Yeah.
He basically like jumps on him, but like sideways, and smashes into his knee, and like twists it. And it's the same thing that happened to my dad when he absolutely just destroyed his MCL. Except in this case, it's the ACL. He took out all the cartilage in his knee when he played football in college. Same thing, foot planted, guy came in, hit his knee completely buckled and went the other way and just tore everything. And it's very interesting because this is happening a lot this year. We've had a lot of ACL injuries, and
we've had a lot of injuries, period.
And you also have to wonder, will this be the final straw where they replace the field in Washington? Because how many injuries has there been there?
Yeah, ACLs have been.
I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say that.
You
RG3,
had RG3. You have him.
Alex
I
Smith.
think Russell might have nearly gotten hurt there. It's Alex Smith. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, going back to Joe Burrow. If I'm Burrow, I'm being like, look, I don't care who you gotta get, make it happen, because this is getting ridiculous. Like,
give me an O-line.
Exactly. Like the man can throw. I mean, he was gonna be the rookie of the year.
Probably.
Herbert's probably gonna win it at this point, especially after his day.
And like, Burrow's shown that he's accurate. He has a good arm. Just put him behind the line so he's not getting murdered week after week. I mean,
yeah.
We've talked about the fact that I thought he had a concussion at least 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. I mean, building an O-line takes years. Building an O-line takes years, and so it's going to be a while, especially when the Bengals have to build that defense. But if they build that O-line and then focus on the defense, this team has longevity or an opportunity to compete with Zach Taylor. But
yeah, I mean, I would just give him something. He has nothing right now.
Yeah,
at least bring in some veterans who can kind of patchwork the offensive line together.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to do that this year with the Seahawks trade, but
yeah, good luck with that.
But I will say, Penei Sewell out of Oregon, trade up, try to get him. I think
it's pretty accurate.
Shane, your reflections on Joe Burrow at LSU, of course, in that last year in the national championship, to now in the pros, and obviously with this first season ending in this really horrific way. What are your reflections on Joe Burrow and how he developed from, this college player that was like a middling first or fifth round pick to a champion, to a national champion, to the first overall pick, and to this incredible year they had this year in the pros?
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret that I didn't think Burrow is really going to be that good in the pros, because to me it seemed like, okay, well, this guy got to LSU with a really stacked roster all around him. It might be the best greatest. It might be the greatest. That might have been the greatest college football team ever. And I was like, it just seems kind of like it doesn't seem like a coincidence that he all of a sudden got better out of nowhere when his whole team around him was great. But now I think I'm starting to see that he too got really good. He was part of the equation for LSU. And, he didn't win a lot this year. But if you look at what he had in terms of an offensive line and a defense, the Bengals, they were still, at least in most games, they were still pretty competitive. And I think the reason for that was him, because he looked like a pro out there, just sling the ball around, making plays, getting the yards, and getting down the field. So, yeah, he proved me wrong. And so did Herbert. And so did Tua. Or at least it seems like it so far. I don't know. We'll see with him. But anyways, yeah. I it's sad that his rookie season had to end this way. But yeah, he's really tough mentally. And he posted a tweet saying, what is it, like, you're not going to get rid of me that easily. I'll see you next year, or whatever. I mean, this guy is determined. And the fact that that horrible thing happened after this year where he's lost so many games, the fact that he's still that positive, maybe he's not on the inside, but at least he's giving that kind of a poise or confidence publicly. It says a lot about him and what he is capable of going forward. So, yeah.
To finish off the Joe Burrow discussion, this Bengals offense was actually so incredible to watch every week because Zach Taylor said, okay, you're the number one pick, kid. Here are the keys. You run the show. We're not like what was the game against Cleveland on Thursday Night Football? What was this, like week? I don't forget what week this was now, like week 6 or whatever it was. And he threw the ball, 56 times?
No, that was like week 2.
Week 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was week 2.
Yeah.
And we said, I was like, oh, my God. You're just going to let him throw. Like, he was on pace for rookie records in pass attempts and probably passes completed as well. I mean, like, with that offensive line and everything, for them to just say, here are the keys, Zach Taylor, for him to say, here are the keys and go, and we're just going to throw the ball with the amount of receivers that he had, which is honestly pretty incredible. Like, the receivers that they have long-term here without AJ Green, because I don't think AJ Green's going to be back, but even without him, that receiving core is going to be with him for a while. I mean, it was impressive in every way. The thing that, again, that I love the most is that they just kind of let him go out there and play and let him throw the ball as much as he did, because they knew that was the only, like, Zach Taylor in the back of his mind knew this is the only way we're going to win ball games is if we trust this kid and we let him throw the ball. And it showed itself, and it was positive. And obviously there were the negatives with the offensive line, and ultimately that's what got him hurt. And we knew that it might happen. I didn't think it'd be this bad, but ultimately it was impressive all around for this entire offense, other than their O-line. Because other than that O-line, there are pieces there. And Zach Taylor running the show with Burrow, I don't think there's anything better than that for the next decade for this team. I really don't think there is.
Now they just have to get the pieces around him.
Get that O-line set and then get that defense. Once they figured those two pieces out, they're going to be golden, but that's going to take a few years, I think.
Yeah.
Because that receiving core is fine. There's no issues there.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Let's see. Final game before we head out. Dolphins-Broncos. Brandon, your thoughts on the Dolphins? I know we were hype on them last week, and we kind of ride that wave, and it was not good today. What went wrong with Tua in this game? Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick came later in the game. Tua is going to be fine. He's going to start next week. What went wrong in your mind in this game?
Tua's not ready for the as a certain WWE official once said of a certain other wrestler, he's a B+ player right now. My point is this: Tua is not ready to be the leader of the team. I mean, the man is doing okay, but like he's required the defense to save his ass the last 2 weeks. And to lose to Denver, that ain't a good look. You know? Like, you couldn't really throw the ball. They couldn't really run the ball. Couldn't really do much of anything.
And it's Denver.
Yeah, the defense was okay.
Denver's defense isn't that great this year, though.
So I don't know where. I mean, my hype level has dropped a lot for the old Dolphins.
My thoughts with Miami are not going to change after this week. Clearly, Tua does need one thing, and that's more time. But it can't be time spent on the bench. He has to play. I can't put him back on the bench at this point. Put him out there, and let's figure this out. I mean, they're in a playoff position. They can still make the playoffs even with this loss. This is a work in progress. But I think what Brian Flores, and I think even I started to realize when they put Tua out there, is this is not a work in progress that can be done on the bench. This is a work in progress that needs to be done on the field. And there will be some bad weeks. Hey, who knows? Maybe this is the one real bad week and we see greatness again from Tua next week, even though it hasn't been the most perfect thing in the world. This is something that needs to be done on the field. I think ultimately is like Tua is a work in progress still, but I can't bench him for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I couldn't bench him even if I had a Hall of Famer at the tail end of his career back there. I need Tua to play, and I need Brian Flores and this offense to figure themselves out.
Fitzpatrick is a Hall of Famer?
No, I'm saying even if there were a Hall of Famer on the bench.
I was like,
No.
I don't know about that, but
no, even if there were a Hall of Famer or some long-term, well, I guess Ryan Fitzpatrick is like.
What Tom Brady?
Right. Well, not Tom Brady, but like someone who's like, I don't know. Like if it were Peyton Manning in like 2015 and the defense wasn't that good, that Peyton Manning and Tua, I put Tua out there. That's what I mean. It's just like I can't let Tua go on the bench is basically my point. I just can't. I need him to play this out and we'll figure it out and we'll make it work. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Especially if they end up, because you got to see too, like, if he doesn't continue to perform very well, then they got to draft somebody. You know what I mean? Or get someone from free agency or something. And the time to find that out is now. You're not going to find that out on the bench. So, yeah.
Broncos, I was happy with Denver, but not expecting much still. I'm not gonna put too much stock on this one.
No. Especially with the AFC West.
Yeah.
Considering how good they are.
Not gonna put too much stock in this one. All right, fantasy star MVPs for this week. Who do you guys have?
You guys go first.
Deshaun Watson. Okay. So I'm going to go Jameer Byrd. What a surprise. Talking about New England. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I think this receiving core is a little underrated with Byrd and with Jacoby Myers. It is working with Cam Newton. Maybe not to its fullest potential, but it is working. But I'll go Jameer Byrd. Huge surprise today.
So Tyreek Hill.
All right.
Tyreek Hill. I don't think we've nominated him yet this year.
No, we have not. Other high scores, Keenan Allen got like the most receptions in Chargers history today. I think it was 19.
Really?
Yeah.
19?
Something crazy.
Damn.
God, I shouldn't have traded him.
I had to trade him. I needed a tight end.
I said I shouldn't have.
Yeah, you got 34.5, 32.3 for Adam Thielen, who is going your way on a Tuesday morning with that trade with Matthew Bowe, Shane. Yeah, let me confirm this real quick. Let me confirm the reception total for him because it was kind of nuts.
16.
16.
145 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
how did he only get 34 points? That seems like it'd be way more than that, doesn't it? I guess not.
Well, 16 franchise record. So I was off by 4, but or about 4. But 17. Yep, or like 3 or 4. But either way, Definitely amazing performance from him, but we didn't nominate him this week, but we'll definitely nominate him down the road. He has been PPR consistency, and Adam Thielen, it's been up and down, but hopefully this is the start of something.
Actually, yeah, you know what? Scratch Tyreek Hill. I'm going Keenan Allen.
All right, cool.
That's just insane. I can't even. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize. Wow.
Yeah, 16 receptions today. Pretty great.
The only reason I didn't pick him, I was going to pick him, but then I looked at it and it was like, well, he's playing the Jets, so like, it's not really that impressive. But I mean, geez, 16 catches. How can you pass that up? So,
Yeah. How are you guys
sorry,
feeling
Tyreek.
we can put him in. I'll put him in as another slot there.
It's all right.
How are you guys feeling about your teams right now?
Okay. Better than I was a couple of weeks ago, that's for sure. But no, it'll be interesting. I gotta win my next couple of games. That's for sure.
Bring in. So the trade was what was it? Edmonds, Thielen, basically for Diggs. So you pick up another running back there. That will go through on Tuesday.
It was just for Diggs.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to, we're kind of mixing up and figuring out the trade stuff. Next year officially it will be you make a trade, it will get approved right away. That will happen for sure, especially as we go to the basketball league coming up in about a month's time. But so we had a little mishap there, but that will be adjusted. I will fix that on Tuesday morning and get the players there. For me, I'm playing Paul this week, and let me read the score line to you. 146. I scored 146.66. Paul scored 134.94 with Godwin left. I would have beaten with this score line because I'm not even sure I'm gonna win. I would have been you, Shane, you, Brannan. I would have beaten Mason. I would have beaten Jackson. I would have beat Matthew Vo by
So basically everybody.
a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I would have beaten everybody in the league, and yet I'm playing Paul and I'm stuck in this situation.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Bucs receivers are all just up and down in freaking circles. I don't know. And they're going up against the Rams defense, was really good. And it's prime time when the Bucs suck. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Here's all that I will say. It is so frustrating scoring. Like, I feel like I scored the highest points in the league most weeks, and yet I still don't like my team. I still don't like it. I still don't think it can win a title right now.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon, your thoughts on your roster, because you're still going right now. I mean, you and Shane had a battle today.
Yeah.
With the
I was
Rams
down
defense
60
still.
points at one point, and then now I'm down by 1 with the Rams defense left to play.
How are you feeling about your team now, though? Because you're still being competitive with this roster, which isn't much of a surprise because we expected it to be very competitive. But what are your feelings?
Did Brennan die?
Is your mic okay, Brandon?
I had to reset my earbuds.
Oh.
How are you feeling about your fantasy team, man? Because it's still being really competitive.
I'm like 3-7. I mean, they're competitive, but I'm not gonna be competing for the championship. Which is unfortunate. I mean, the team's had some rough spots, but as long as I'm making y'all sweat,
Which is what's happening. Yeah.
I mean, I'm nice and cool over here, but
I don't know about that, Shane. You were freaking out earlier today.
Yeah, you were not happy.
I wasn't
this morning.
freaking out. I was just like, well, that's that. Yeah, but anyways.
I'm playing Brandon week 13, so yikes. That's all I gotta say. He could push me out of the playoffs. There's a good chance that he could do that. So we'll see as time goes on.
That'd be interesting.
All right. Great show tonight, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families and all of you listening out there. We won't have a show on Friday once again this week due to Thanksgiving, but we will be back on Sunday for, I guess, what would be our Thanksgiving show, but also our normal post show. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy time with family, whether that's virtually or in person. And it should be a great holiday with all the great games going on as well. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Yep. However you celebrate it, just, make sure you're staying safe, doing your part to reduce the spread, all that,
Mm-hmm.
It should be good.
Yep.
Good turkey.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And we will see you all next Sunday. Have a great week, everybody.